So, announcing yourself on the world stage, Stade France 2000, Six Nations against France. You hadn't beaten them in 28 years at their place. Take me back to that day. I can see a cheeky little smile on your face, like just saying those dates. This is the day when Brian O'Driscoll was born, right?
It was, do you know what? This really changed, I think, my career and my life, that 80 minutes. I probably had maybe 8 or 9 caps at that stage. We'd had a disastrous World Cup that I'd gotten capped just beforehand. We kind of limped out of the World Cup. And so we were still no great shakes. And it was that Six Nations that new players were kind of catapulted into the team. And one of the games was France. And we nearly beat them 2 years previously. So everyone's like, we were always trashing France. It was really close. So it felt as though, there was something coming. But you play scared and you stay in the game in France. One thing I've learned,
what do you mean play scared? What do you mean play?
Like if, to be worried, worried has a sharp, right? If you're comfortable and happy and think everything's going to be okay, human instinct and your subconscious has you relaxed and off the beat. So I think that nervous energy about heightened anticipation, I think, really does often serve you really well, provided you get the balance of not using it all up for the game.
So you say that, mate. I boxed in Beijing in 2007 at the Beijing Olympic test event, and I got that nervous energy balance incorrectly, and I boxed this French lad, and I was dreadful. I lost 28, 29, 26. So it was a close fight, and he went on to win a bronze in Beijing the next year. Had I beaten him, I would have went to the qualifier the next month and qualified and done really well. And I let that nervous energy eat me up, and it was horrible because I was super fit, super strong, super fast. The bell went for round 1, and I just felt I had nothing left. And that was when I learned this nervous energy you talk about. There's definitely there's a fine balance. Too much, you shoot your load too early. Not enough, you get too lackadaisical. So and hearing you say, had you on that? Had you played out the fight in your head? A million times.
Yeah, you see, I was never one for that. And that there's guys that always carried that and had played it through the week. I was a real live in the moment, trained in the moment. And yes, I thought about it, but I didn't obsess over it. I just tried to let my instinct take over as much as I possibly could. I did, of course, do all my analysis, and I had myself well prepped to know what was coming at me. But it wasn't like I played it over time and again and tried to work out every scenario. I went with the flow and tried to trust my gut a lot of the time. And people that I played with would have thought I was kind of nonplussed about playing test matches, that I was a bit giddy and a bit excited and a bit relaxed about it. Of course, I had internal tension, but my external demeanor was definitely to be relaxed. Traveling to the game on police escort on your bus, I'd be chatting and having a laugh with guys and enjoying the seriousness of others and trying to get a bit of fun out of them, because that was what worked for me. Maybe it didn't work for them, but I needed someone to kind of bounce off, to be able to just not be obsessed about this game and play it and exhaust myself in the thought process. So I think it is a fine balance. And if you are that way inclined to understand that you have to have coping mechanisms to be able to disconnect yourself from absorbing all of that energy.
After the incident in Beijing, I began reading on the way to the venue, and I'd read a book. And I'd read a book, and I would not retain anything I read because of this, but I'll do something to distract me from to keep me in the moment rather than think about the fight. Because like you said, by that point, all the work is done, all the prep is done. You're not going to become a better boxer in the 2 or 3 hours on the way to the venue. So I'd keep myself in the present moment by reading. So going back to Stade France 2000, I want to see that smile come back. The day when Brian O'Driscoll became a star. Tell me about it.
Yeah, listen, the first couple of tries were kind of put on a plate for me. Particularly the first one, I fell over the line. The second one, I ran a decent support line and I got a good offload. The third one was a decent try, but
to be honest, man.
But to be honest with you, it was. I actually, when you're asked about games that you played really well over the course of your career, I I would say that game was probably one of my best, but not because of the 3 tries. I think consistently my performance over the course of the game, making breaks, making tackles, making good decisions, was actually the most complete 80 minutes that I've had. Take the tries out of it, and then but everyone only sees that. Everyone only sees the 3 scores. Listen, don't get me wrong; they're important, and we stay in the game on the back of them. But that wasn't kind of the be all and end all to my feel good factor around that game. It felt as though it was. I thought if I could, that was the first real time in international rugby that I thought, if I can perform like this on an international stage against a great team in their backyard, well, maybe I belong here. Maybe I can get rid of any imposter syndrome that I would have felt maybe in some of my early caps, and then you kind of go, okay, I can do this, and I'm causing them problems, and not as much the other way around. Now, listen, you go peaks and troughs of that stuff, but sometimes it's confidence around believing, having belief in your ability and your talent, and confidence needs reinforcement. It comes and goes, and you need to constantly redefine, what it is you do well, and then when it does, then you try and ride that wave for as long as you possibly can.